Hey there, it's Troy and welcome to the fourth video in my series of post-lockdown dating strategies videos. And today I want to just give some actionable advice that you can use when you're starting to get out there again, starting to socialize, starting to do a bit of games, start doing a bit of dating or whatever it is, as hopefully will begin to happen as we come out of this difficult, challenging period that everyone's been throughout most of the world. Obviously, as I've been saying, lockdown's kind of easing off across the globe, different speeds in different places, but nevertheless, we can see the wind of change. We can see the direction of things, and you've got to be ready to go out there and hit the ground running, right? You've got to, and here's the thing, right? It might be that you've been sitting around, you haven't really had a lot of social interaction for a lot of this period of time, for obvious reasons. And so if you were rusty before in terms of this kind of stuff, then you're going to be hella rusty now, right? So you've got to seize the bull by the horns and you've got to get out there and take action, right? And there's a couple of things that you can do in order to accelerate that process, if you like. The first of them is simply warm-up exercise, really. Other people call them social freedom exercises. There's loads and loads of crazy things you can do. I mean, people prescribe really, really weird things, like they get clients to go into the middle of a busy street and do push-ups on the sidewalk, or start singing in the subway, or just do some crazy kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily advise that you go that far, but what I would say, and what I always say to clients and to people who ask for this kind of advice, is that don't set the bar low. You don't have to go from naught to suddenly walking up to a supermodel and asking her for a date in one day. It's not really going to work like that. But just ease yourself back into the social conversation. Just go out and about when it's possible to do so, in wherever you're living, and just start to say hello to people. Just start to say, "Oh, you're having a good day. It's great that we're finally out of lockdown, isn't it?" Just start to have those little conversations with people. And this isn't just women. This is women, men, whatever, right? It's not at this stage about trying to move it onto a flirtatious conversation or a dating conversation. It's just literally about getting the motor running, right? Because a big part of the battle for people, particularly for people who are somewhat introverted, is just getting themselves warmed up socially, right? And this also applies, by the way, if you happen to work in a job which is, requires you to be sitting in front of a computer all day, not talking to people much, looking at spreadsheets, all that kind of stuff. You need to get into that kind of vibe for socializing. And the only way to do it, I'm afraid, or I'm not afraid, actually, because it's a lot of fun. But the reality is the only way to do it is to just get out there and start talking to people. So do that, right? Set the bar very low. Go out into the town where you live or the city where you live and say, right, this afternoon I'm going to ask 10 people for directions. I'm going to ask 10 people where the nearest Starbucks is, or where the nearest Apple store is, or where the nearest McDonald's is, or whatever it is, right? And just go out and do that, right? Don't make it hard for yourself. Don't make it like, oh, and then I've got to ask them for a date, or I've got to get their phone number or something like that. Just do it so that you are beginning conversations with other human beings, getting yourself warmed up. Because the more that you do it, you start a conversation with 10 people, you realize, hang on a minute, this is possible, right? It's not, the sky is not going to fall in if I start a conversation with somebody. It's absolutely fine. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. And once you get to that point, then you start to overcome that shyness, you start to overcome that reticence, and it's much easier for you to go out and and then take it more into a dating context, either in the daytime or going to bars and clubs at night, right? So that is the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say, and this is something, again, that I recommend to people a lot, because people will always say, well, I've got this acute anxiety. I find it really hard to approach. I find it really hard to get motivated. What do I do? And what I will always say is make a game of it, okay? Don't take it too seriously, because one of the reasons that you find it difficult to make approaches is because your ego is very tied up in it. You don't want to be rejected. You don't want to feel like you've been turned down, because you put yourself on the line. You put your attractiveness on the line, if you like, and then somebody has taken a look at you and gone, you know what, I think I'll pass. And that is kind of difficult. That's difficult for anybody, right? But a way to reduce the impact on your ego is to tell yourself that it's a game. So say to yourself, right, okay, today I'm going to go to the bar or the club or to the coffee shop or whatever it is, and throughout X number of hours, however long you're going to be there. I'm going to talk to 10 girls that I find attractive, right? And it doesn't matter what happens. In fact, you could even go as far as to say, I'm gonna go and approach the 10 girls that I find attractive, and I'm going to say the most ridiculous thing as an opener that I can think of. And you'll think of some really stupid opener like, do you like geraniums? Do you like daffodils? What's your opinion on cauliflower? Just something really stupid. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Because you're making a game of it, and the joke is you're actually going out there to almost try to get rejected, right? You're doing it to create a story, a funny thing to tell people afterwards, an anecdote, rather than allowing it to get so wrapped up with your ego that you're stifled and you're afraid to take action. So making a game of socializing is really, really important, and doing warm-up exercises before you go out and hit the ground running is also important as well. So I hope those two things really help. Certainly, I think we're going to need to all ease ourselves back into being sort of more normally social as we start to pull out of the crisis time. And hopefully some of the mindset stuff that I've taught this week and the tools I've given you today will enable you to do that. So listen, do hit subscribe to my channel. Do give me a like, give me a comment on this video. If you want to read more of my stuff about dating and the dating marketplace, then grab Renegade Dating Blueprint, which is my collection of 11 books. The link is below. And get on my daily email list as well. The link is below, and that is absolutely free. And I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.